Hello, everyone. And yes, two uploads in one day. What a miracle. Definitely. and my last video, I was talking about taking a break. And that the break that I took, summer break, obviously I didn't use it all to play video games, but having some free time helps you to have some free time for games. And it got me thinking, which games work for you when you are working? And what do I mean by this? I don't mean which games can you play during working hours. You shouldn't do that. I mean which games can you play during a work week on your free time. Now, we usually don't have that much free time during a work week. It might seem like we do, but we don't. We quote unquote waste a lot of our time during the day, or not waste, but we have to use it. Basically, we have a lot of time during the day where it's time that we need, but we're not being productive, quote unquote, or not doing anything. So we don't get left with a lot of time. And especially for people who have kids and things like that, then they're screwed. They have even much less time than me. What do I see that works for me? I noticed it by playing Final Fantasy 16 a bit throughout my work days and my off days. That works better when during my off days. And I also saw that with another game called Dead Space. The game I was playing, it came out in January, I think. I bought it close to release, but let's say I was playing it in the first to beginning of second quarter of the year. And although I enjoyed it, I wasn't uh, super thrilled. But I knew it wasn't so much fault of the game itself. And I was right about that. It wasn't the fault of the game. It was a fault of the environment in which I was playing it. I was playing it tired. I was playing it distracted, either by the phone, either by thoughts of either by thoughts that didn't relate to the game, or just I felt like I didn't have enough time. And that's curiously one of the things that keeps me from playing, is thinking that I won't have enough time, or that I gotta go to sleep, or whatever. And then I usually just waste that time that I gain by not playing. But the doubt creeps in every time. But now that I've played that game with more free time, I've enjoyed it more because I'm focused, I'm plugged in on the experience. So, which games work for when you're on a weekday and you don't have too much time? So, number one, which is tested and it's proven to work, it's a multiplayer game, online multiplayer game, especially one which doesn't have a team aspect. It's like a 1v1. For me, it works not final, UFC 4. Why? It's 1v1, and the fights are short. Like usually a fight goes 1 or 2 rounds, and if you put it in real time, 2 rounds takes 10 minutes. So 10 minutes for a game at best ain't a lot. So if you play like 3 games and they all go between 1 to 2 rounds, you got 3 games done in less than half an hour. Now I know that the fights are either 3 5-minute rounds or 5 5-minute rounds, and they can go up until 25 minutes. A full game if you use real time, and if you or your opponent can't beat each other in the 25 minutes. But those cases are rare, and even if it happens, you pack a lot of action in one game, so you'll probably feel like you got enough from the game, or maybe just want another one, and you have a short one, so you can get a lot done between 20 to 40 minutes. My play sessions are usually like that, like 2 games, maybe 3, maybe 4, but it feels good enough. It feels like you're satisfied with it, and it's an easy pick up and play experience, and there's plenty of those. Doesn't necessarily have to be a multiplayer game, but the key thing is in this case, your perception of the time that you will need to play the game to have an enjoyment is low. You know that you don't have to play a lot to enjoy it. So that's the kind of one of the types of games that fulfills you during work week. The second type of game, it's one that does have a narrative, so it does make you have to be focused. You gotta put the phone down. Sorry. You gotta put the phone down. You gotta take your thoughts off of whatever else is distracting you, and you gotta focus on the game. And sometimes that's hard, but there are some games with which that works, and they have to have these two things, which are they need to be you need to be invested in the story. So you need to, before you start playing, you already want to know what's gonna happen next. You gotta be hooked, and they gotta be focused. And what do I mean by focused? I mean they need to have limited choices of what you're going to do, because the longer the day goes, the more tired we are, the worse we are at making decisions. And when we are bad at making decisions, and we have a lot of decisions to make, the decision that we make is to not make decisions. In other words, we just don't do the thing, we avoid it, so we don't play the game in this case. So it needs to be a focus game, linear. You're gonna play this level, this chapter, and this is what you gotta do, and you just do it. And if you don't do anything else, then you're not playing. So in that sense, it's much more easy for weekdays. For example, let's say Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Final Fantasy 16 has a much more open-ended structure. You select missions. You can select a main mission or side missions, and they have different kind of pacings, different kind of urgency, different kind of investment storyline wise, and less context to the side missions. So when you're playing it and you got all these options, you start thinking, what should I play? Should I play the side mission? But will it be good? Will it not be? Will it be tiresome? If you choose one that ain't that interesting, you start to doze off, thinking about something else, and you might just put the game down. While on the other hand, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it has some side missions, but you either do it in that chapter or you don't. So it's like a chapter split up in different parts, but you have to finish it on the chapter, or you don't get to play the side missions. They're more like optional than necessarily side. But besides that, the main missions just funnel you in through, a scenario, a chapter, and it's much more focused. So you don't really have to decide what you're going to play. You just choose the game and you go through it. A linear, single-player, focused game with an interesting narrative which you want to follow, that's something that it's good to play on weekdays. And there's a final type of game that also works. And this type of game is, I'd say, the relaxing game, or the game which you feel rewarded by, well, where playing it is a reward and you don't need to accomplish anything to feel accomplished. One example is Minecraft. You're just in a world where you have resources and you can build or destroy or explore wherever you want. There's no set path. You can do wherever you want. And it's fun to do just whatever you want. It's fun to keep building up a house that you're making. It's fun to explore a little bit further and get deep into a cave. It's fun to just muck around with the game mechanics. You're fulfilling the purpose of playing a game, which is being entertained, without necessarily having to reach a certain goal, a certain milestone. Another game, I would say, is Stray. Stray is much more focused than Minecraft, but not too much. You play as a cat in like a post-apocalyptic world where you talk to robots who have human feelings and personalities, and you basically have to explore the town and talk to them. So the fact of just exploring is charming enough, it's fulfilling enough. You don't actually need to accomplish anything to feel good about playing the game, because it doesn't really guide you too much. You're really meant to just roam around, and you will stumble upon the things that you need to see, find, or hear. So that also works. Basically, a game where just doing the basic things without any goal is good enough. So I'd say those are the type of games that work the most. Now, usually this series is called I Don't Have the Answers to These Questions. In this video, I guess I have more answers than usual, but it works for me, might not work for anyone else. Just my thoughts, my experiences. But yeah, thank you for watching.